thank you for sticking around this long, all right? I'll grab that mic in a second. Also, I came here as a coach today, okay? I got 2 more years on my contract with Minneapolis, and then I'm going to retire, and I got a standing assistant coaching job here at a local high school.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm going back to coaching. I'm going back to high school level. So I came as a coach. Now I'm going to flip over to being an executive. I put my jacket on, put my glasses on. All right, so now I'm the executive, all right? Guess I should speak into this. Let me start the way I start with every speech. I start with this proverb because it's meaningful to me and I hope meaningful to any of you. And I hope to make it relevant to you very quickly. It starts with this: speak to me of facts, I will know. Speak to me of truth, and I will believe. But tell me a good story, and I'll remember that forever. So whenever I try and speak, I try to relate whatever we do to some sort of story. So let me tell you something. Is Doug here? Doug Martin here? Let me just say this about Doug. I'd hire Doug Martin every day of the week. You know why? Because Doug is a leader. He sat here and explained to us how, as a coach at OTE, and I was just at his program, what they do. But what he described to us was that everything was about those youngsters, the people who are being led. Wasn't about him. He talked about his adjustments to them, knowing their story, understanding their background, helping them create their narratives, trusting them to speak to each other. Everything was about the people he was leading. And for those of you who are in this business as a coach, or you're going to be an administrator, or you want to be a scout, you want to be anything else, it starts at coach. And to me, coach means leadership. That's what this is about. And so as you go forward in the future, have an answer if anyone ever asks you in an interview, how are you going to lead this program? Have an answer to that. And if they don't ask you that question, then tell them, let me tell you how I'm going to lead your program. Because this is about leadership. We've heard quite a bit from a bunch of people today about how you coach specific things, different philosophies. But at the end of the day, if the folks with whom you are interacting won't follow your lead, none of that really matters. This is all about leadership. I'm going to tell you a quick story about leadership. And you don't have to be at the top of the chain to lead. If you do a good job leading, those around you will lead as well. They will take your example, follow it, and then they will lead. That leadership establishes your culture, and that culture means everybody holds each other accountable. And so we go from leadership to culture to accountability. Doug spoke to it, others have spoken to it, and I'm just trying to recap that. So, are there any little kids around? No, okay, great. So this story actually starts about somebody who's actually pretty well known in this room and in this county. It's about Michael Beasley. Now, Bees, heck of a player. Known Mike a long time, many of you have as well. And Bees is the best player in the Big Three, all right? Now, Bees is not always, can be a handful to coach on occasion, as we all know. And he had an interaction with a very good friend of mine who used to be a strength and conditioning coach with the Washington Wizards, an Australian fella, name is Drew. And right before the season this year, Ice Cube had the entire group of the Big Three in for sort of a tip-off meeting of the season. And one of the things, Ice Cube treats these guys pretty well. They get paid pretty decently. And he puts the NBA guys, the guys who played in the league and are playing on the current team, they stay in NBA hotels. So they're staying at the Ritz-Carlton, they're staying at the Four Seasons, they are staying upstairs. Well, as you well know, in today's world, a couple of the hotels called and said, hey, look, could you talk to you guys about if they really want to blaze it, maybe they could leave the hotel. Because there are other people here at the hotel paying $500, $600, $700, $800 a night, and they really don't want to smell all that reefer. So everybody agreed. So my buddy Drew says he's coming back from a dinner in Boston where they had a big three. And Bees is sitting outside of the Ritz-Carlton there, and Bees is blazing away. Now it's okay, because it's legal, all right? So my man Drew says, should I remind Bees that we agreed nobody would smoke at the hotel? But he's known Bees over the years, and he had this moment, this conundrum at this moment. Should I just pass on this moment and walk on through, say, yo, bro, what's up, and keep walking? Or do I exert a little leadership here? He decided, since he knew Bees, he was going to exert some leadership. And so he said, hey, Bees, you know, we all kind of agreed we're not going to do that on hotel grounds because it impacts other people, the hotel, and our ability to come back here every year. And brother, let me tell you, I like staying at this Ritz-Carlton here in Boston. So he said, as he said this, there was this pause. And then Bees gave him the answer of his lifetime. He said to him, Drew, that's why I fucks with you. Because you tell a brother what he needs to hear. My man Drew walked in that hotel, he said his feet weren't even touching the ground. He felt so good about that particular leadership moment. But that is what leadership is. It's taking charge of the moment and doing what isn't always comfortable, but is for the good and the greater good of us all. And so he now tells this story to everybody because he can say with pride, that's why Bees fucks with him, because he tells the brother what he needs to know. So, in view of that illustration of leadership, one of the interesting things is Bees belongs to a particular group and time that's relevant to us all here. For the very first time in our history, we have 4 different generations all in the marketplace at one time. Okay, the senior group is my group. So if you're born between 1946 and 63, you're a baby boomer. I will not ask for a show of hands. All right, I usually do that, but the cross section here tells me I ain't asking for the show of hands. The next crew is Generation X, 64 to 79. Sort of in the prime earning years in their marketplace. The next group is Millennials, 80 to 99. They're the folks really coming into their best years. And then nexters are IYs. These are from 2000 up to now, okay? And each one of our generations has a generational set of cultural attitudes. Those of us who are boomers, we are extremely competitive and aspirational. I think you've probably seen that here today. Gen Xers, the next crew, represented fairly well here. Individualistic, self-reliant, really believe deeply in their own abilities, okay? The next group, Millennials. That's the younger group. They kind of feel they're special, okay? And the IY folks, extremely sensitive, and they need to be entertained. Exactly what Doug told us about how you have to engage with the young people today, not only by interacting with them, but you got to engage them and entertain them while you impart knowledge. And each one of us has a particular way of looking at the world. By the way, boomers like me, we love stories, which is why I tell them. The rest of you guys, the rest of your generation, y'all not so big on our stories. That's why old people like me are a problem for you. Because you'd be saying, oh man, I do got another one of them stories. So I'll stop here with that. But let me get to the issue here of leadership. I was going to ask this question, but I won't. I'm going to use a mnemonic device. Mnemonic device is something you remember easily. So when I talk about being a coach, I talk about the attributes, and they all end in the letter C, just like Coach does. So here's the list. So I'm not going to ask. It's caring, committed, competent, connected, credentialed, creative, communicative, character, confrontational, and constructive. It's all C words. All characteristics you need to be a coach. All of these things relate to your ability to lead people. Let me read them again. Caring. You will not lead anybody if they don't think you care about them and what they're about. That's why it's first on the list. You got to care. They got to know you're committed. They got to know you're competent and credentialed. It makes it easier to engage with them if you're creative. You have to communicate. You have to show character. You must do what Drew did. You have to engage in constructive confrontation. That is where the accountability and culture comes from. So I got this mnemonic from a guy by the name of Frank Harrison. He was the head of Coca-Cola in Charlotte, North Carolina, Moop. And he used mnemonics. His company was Coca-Cola Consolidated of Charlotte, CC&C. And he said there's only two ways that he hires people. He hires them with two characteristics, and that's the concern, because he wants leadership throughout his organization. Competence and character are the only two things he considers when he hires. And he says only one of them is negotiable. And it ain't character. It's competence. He said competence we can outsource. We can hire it. We can get consultants. We can get advisors. We can send you to school. We can always work on your competence. Can't do a damn thing about your character. You come with that. And you demonstrate that in every action you take. And so he was the guy who taught me this mnemonic. And so he was a billionaire. I was trying to get him to sign in to put Coca-Cola in our building in Charlotte. Over the length of the building, probably about a $150 million deal. I was willing to do just about anything to get that deal done. So Frank was a big game hunter, had his own lodge where he had the heads of animals he had shot all over the world. Not exactly my life. But he asked me if I was a hunter. And I said, you're damn right I am, Frank, I'm a hunter. So Frank invited me out to shoot quail on his 15,000-acre farm in South Carolina. Off I went to Dick's store to buy me some Timberlands, some camo pants, orange jacket, a hat. The only thing I didn't buy was a gun. And I guarantee you, I was the only guy hunting out there where the labels were still all over the clothes because I had never worn those clothes before. And so we go out and we spend the better part of an entire morning shooting quail. I didn't hit a damn thing. I shot that gun 7 or 8 times. I didn't come close, all right? Frank hit a couple, and then we sat down to a lunch of the quail that we ate. And during that time, we never talked about a dollar being exchanged. Never said anything about the deal. So finally at lunch, I asked him, I said, Frank, it's obvious I'm not much of a big game hunter, all right? So why did you ask me out here? He said, the deal will be the deal. I wanted to know the man. I wanted to have an idea of your character before I signed my company to yours for what will be a 25-year deal. It was about the character. It was about the leadership that he thought I would exert in my company, and did it align with his. So let me quickly get to this list of leadership capabilities that I think you really want to focus on. If you are a leader, you needn't fear any job you aspire to, because you will find the people who will help you execute that role and lead them in a manner in which they will lead others. So that's how a basketball coach, like me, ends up being the head of an NBA team. And because I figured, well, I've coached and I've led. I'll find other good people. I found Mook. Mook worked for me in Charlotte. He wasn't the only wonderful person that came in and all contributed to a startup, which is exactly what we were. So, quickly, 4 steps to leadership. Number 1, control your emotions. You want people to be poised. You want people to be understanding. You want people to care about others. Then you must exhibit that. So control your emotions first and foremost. Number 2, be adaptable. Your idea may not be the best idea. Engage other people's ideas. As a matter of fact, most people are better with their idea than they are with yours. Think about it. You're sitting in a meeting, someone who reports to you has a great idea in their mind. You don't completely agree. You have an idea as to how they should run their department. You hand them your idea, and if they're good people, if they have good character, they will execute it. But if you say to them, you know what, that's not my idea what you should do, but I'm going to let you run with yours. They will die to prove their idea is superior to yours. So be adaptable. 3, focus on achievement. Get out of the world that we exist in oftentimes where we favor people based upon personality. All right? Demand excellence, ask for execution, ask for performance, and exhibit that yourself. And no matter what happens, whether things turn out good or bad, people respond better to a positive voice. All right? They're working? No, thank you. Can you get? I don't think so. I can talk without it. You guys can hear me, right? Yep. Okay. Yep. A positive voice galvanizes people, particularly in times of crisis. People gravitate towards the person who is calm and positive. The guy who is MFing them is not the guy that they latch on to. That's generally the person that they run away from. And so, very quickly, just to continue this, if you work for somebody now, do this little bit of analysis. This will teach you the parameters of leadership. It's called the difference between a boss and a leader. And if you have a boss, examine your boss. And if he is a boss, don't follow his lead. Figure out something else to do, or her lead. All right? Bosses want to teach you what to do. They want to show you how to do it, and they want to make sure the benefit comes to them. Leaders focus on more sustainable solutions, and they allow you to work and experiment on your own. Number 11. Bosses are subject matter experts. They know better than everybody else this particular area. Leaders are emotional and people experts. And they do what I just said. Sometimes they let people run with their idea, even if they don't agree with it. So if your boss lets you run with your idea, he's more of a leader. If your boss never gives you the opportunity to run with your idea, he's just a boss. Number 10. Bosses need you to perform well for their success. Leaders want you to feel successful yourself. Leaders want you to take ownership of the success and to have some of it for yourself, not just for them. So if your boss only cares about looking good and what you can do to help him or her make them look good, they're a boss. They're not a leader. Number 9. Bosses hold you accountable. Leaders help you build self-accountability. There's a great story about Hillary Clinton when she took over the State Department. She had some young person come in to write a paper on some area of the country, world that was under duress, get her up to speed on what was going on in that particular area. She took the report and said, now my friend, I don't know you well, but let me ask you this question. Is this the very best you can do in terms of your report? Because I need your very best, and I'm going to evaluate this as this is your best work. My man said, well, let me have it back real quick. Let me work on it real quick. Took it overnight, redid it, came back in. She asked the same question. Are you sure that this is what you want to represent you I want you to be self-accountable. Is this your very best? Is there nothing more you can do to make this report that has wide-ranging international ramifications? Is this your very best? My man said, well, look, maybe give me, I'll try, by Friday. I'll have it to you by Friday. Takes it back, works on it, comes in on Friday, puts it on the desk. Madam Secretary, you don't have to ask. I couldn't do any better. That has everything I could possibly think of. All of my expertise is in this report. That's the best I got. You know, her response was, okay, man, just do it the first time next time. Self-accountability. That's leadership. Number 8. Leaders measure success differently than a boss. All right? Bosses often relate to title, position, or hierarchy. Leaders find success at every level of their organization. So it doesn't matter what your title is. You got a great idea? Bring it forward. That's what leaders do. They don't care about the title or the pecking order or the hierarchy. They look for success wherever it comes from. Number 7. This is one of my favorite. Bosses depend upon authority. Leaders depend upon influence/power. Here's the quick difference between the two. If you're a boss and I tell you you're working 9 to 5, you need to stay 9 to 5. If I'm a good enough leader and something needs to be done and I say, hey, can you stay to 7:30 tonight and help me with something, and you willingly say yes, that's influence and power. That is not given by a name placard on your desk. That is earned through good acts. That is earned through confidence. That is earned day to day in building trust. So when someone asks you and you willingly say yes to it, that's a leader. That's better than a boss. Number 6, leaders focus on what's right, both in the near and the long term. A boss focuses on what's right for right now. They're into shorter term solutions. Leaders understand that we have short term, near term, and long term. So as a leader, you look upon all of those time frames to be a better leader. Bosses operate based upon their competition, who's competing with them. Leaders operate by building legacies. What will I leave behind? How will I make this place better when I move on? It's not just about what I'm trying to do today, but what I'm trying to leave for tomorrow. That's good leadership. This is one, and amongst the coaches here, I was guilty of this, as many of you have been. And this is part of the process. You are always improving if you want to be a leader. Bosses drive you by fear. Leaders motivate you by passion. When I first started to coach, I was loud, boisterous, in your grill. We all know each other, all right? We all know how we did that. As we have evolved and the sensibilities of the people we coach now have evolved, that really doesn't work very well. You have to find alternative ways to motivate people with the passion you share. Never thought of it that way, but when I coached because I loved the game. Well, the guys who played for me, they're there because they love the game. So why am I making them scared of me? I needed to motivate them with passion. It was a lesson that took me a while to learn. And the longer I coached, the quieter I got. Happened in one game. We're playing Harvard when I'm at AU. I'm coaching my ass off. I'm yelling about shot selection. I'm yelling about everything. And we're up 9 points on Harvard. I go in the locker room and I'm blistering my guys. 9 points on guys that can't even get scholarships? I didn't know Harvard was that good. So one of my players said to me, damn, coach, you hard on us. I said, hard on you? He said, yeah, those guys are pretty good. You think I'm hard on you? He goes, yeah. So I said, all right, I'll make a deal with you. First 10 minutes of the second half, I'm not saying a word. I'm going to just sit and let you guys play. And the last 10 minutes, I get to coach again. Well, After the first 10 minutes of that second half, we're up 19. I coached the last 10 minutes, we won by 2. I learned my lesson. Shut up and let them play. If you've done your work during the week, what's all this other histrionics for? Shut up and let them play. Let them have some of their self-accountability. Those guys are talking to each other on the floor. They know what to do if you've coached them well. Let them have their moment. You're not playing, they are. So, motivate by passion, don't drive them by fear. As a leader. A boss always wants to be the boss. It's natural, okay? Leaders want to be successful, and they want the people they lead to be as successful, if not more. If you are a good leader, you invest in the success of others as well as yourself. That's the difference between being a boss and being a leader. Leaders get joy from others' success. Bosses get joy from being recognized for being successful. Be about the other people. If you're a leader, it's a privilege. That privilege means you should be about them more than you're about yourself. And the last one on this list, and the one I'll leave you with, bosses will build your fear to make sure they're in charge. Leaders will build your confidence so that you can question, so that they can question you. If you are to improve as a leader, you have to get used to answering questions. It is reciprocal. You don't always have the best idea, and if you think you do, you're missing out. If you have good people that you've recruited or hired, give them a chance to speak to you without fear of retribution and offer their ideas. And you will find that as a leader, collectively, all of you will be a lot better. So, as you go to work these days, check out and see if your boss is a leader. If your boss is a boss, you might want to consider going in a different direction as much as you can, but learn from the things that your boss does to be a boss so that you can be a better leader in distinction. And I'll end it right there. Thank you guys for listening. Damn, I went way over. My bad, folks.
No, Tap, listen. First of all, I want to say to you all that stayed around. I mean, I understand other people could have the same things as you. That is what it is. But for you to stay around to listen to the last speaker, I feel like I almost did you guys an injustice because I might have, the day went long and these guys went towards the end and, more people couldn't have experienced what they had to offer because it's outstanding. But I know these guys, so for me, I'm trying to share. So I get stuff like that from Tap all the time. Every time I talk to him, it's like I feel like I gotta take notes. I hate when he calls me and I'm driving in the car because I go, damn, I can't take no notes. I want to jot stuff down. So, but I got the tape now, so I'm gonna go back and I get to look at the whole thing. But just the articulation and for him to be able to pivot and adjust to our schedule and what we have going on, I'm tremendously grateful for all the speakers today. And my whole idea behind it was that Tapscott was going to be the keynote speaker, which he was. I knew he would give us some good gems because I know that's how he is. I want him to tap it off.
That's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
But yeah, that's why I want to try to encourage everybody to stick around to at least be able to.
Hey, Bose,
share that as well.
Can I say one thing to the folks here? First of all, I'm delighted. One, applause for Todd for putting this together, man. I want you to know this is a chance for me to be back part of what I call DC or DMV basketball family. It is a proud, large family over many years and generations. And I run across folks all over the country. I travel all over the country still, and I run across folks all the time. And there is a connection if you're from the DMV family. So I'm so happy to be back and connected to this group of DMV family. And for all of you that are starting out on your careers, I assure you, you will be starting out as a coach and leader much better than I did on my very first maiden voyage as a coach. I'll give you how old I am. I was old enough to coach a freshman team in college, which meant we still had freshman basketball, which is that many years ago, all right? And I stepped in front of a group of about 15 guys, and I had a leadership moment. And I should have prepared like I do it now. But it was a long time ago. And I figured, how hard is this? I can step in front of a basketball guys and tell them what I needed to say. So I stepped in front of that group, stood squarely on my 2 feet, looked across, and went completely blank. And I went, layups. That was my start, all right? It was a disaster. And I swore to myself on that moment, I would never, ever go into anything, no matter how small, not over-prepared. So if you are just starting out, and if you could say something other than layups, you're way past me, all right? And I've done okay in life. So my point is prepare, all right?